feel like I was waiting my whole life as I started to be more and more embarrassed about a lack of experience, about like I've existed in so many shapes. At my thinnest, I was still single. At my heaviest, I was still single. In the middle, I was still single. And on the one hand, I was looking for this moment where I would just look in the mirror and feel ready. Or I would my anxiety would be like chill and I would feel brave. And I feel like the older I got, I realized, oh, so I don't think I'm gonna get an I feel ready
Yeah.
moment.
Welcome to the Body Grievers Club. Hi, friend. I am your host, Bri Campos from Body Image with Bri. I am a fat positive body image coach, educator, and trained mental health counselor. My goal is to help you stop hating your body and learn how to move through unavoidable body grief. This won't be your average body image advice. No affirmations, no fluff, no filter. I am prepared to say the quiet parts out loud. And no matter how overwhelming or hopeless your body image feels, you belong here. Welcome to the Body Grievers Club. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Body Grievers Club. I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest today, and I'm going to have her introduce herself. I found her on TikTok, and I really resonated and related to her story, and I think you will too. So, Allora, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I'm Allora Dannon. I am a hopeless romantic, a plus size baddie, and an accidental late bloomer spokesperson.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so for the folks at home, tell us what a late bloomer is.
So, if you were to type this into the Google, okay, Google would tell you it is anybody who finds success later in life. And sometimes they classify that as a glow up or financial success or finding a career. But I took this term and I was like, oh my gosh, this me specifically where romance was concerned, because I
Mm,
did not start dating or experience any kind of physical intimacy until I was in my 30s. So I took that term and I was like, yeah, that's me. That's me.
wow. Yeah, yeah. And I know I mentioned this at the start of our time together today that I really resonated with your story. And I know a lot of my clients also resonate with it. And there's a lot of layers to being a late bloomer, specifically from a physical intimacy standpoint, including the body image piece and the societal pressure, which is so interesting too. We've also discovered we are both neurospicy, whether or not diagnosed. So we're gonna go with it. It's gonna be a little chaotic, friends. How back in the day, right? Having sex was something that you didn't do. And now, culturally, there's something wrong with you if you haven't. So it feels very confusing. So I know for me, my own late blooming when it came to romantic relationships was first and foremost a body image issue and believing that when I am in a smaller and size acceptable body, then I'll be with somebody. But then I also had this layer of religion. And as I started to deconstruct my faith and begin to parse out what doesn't feel right for me, what doesn't feel like it aligns with me, there were still these tendrils of not wanting to do something wrong, not wanting to look stupid. And then the body image piece that comes in where it's like, wow, even as a human being, that like outside of being a person in a larger body, that just being a human and being vulnerable with somebody, being that intimacy, dating, all of these things can bring up. So tell us a little bit about your story.
So I grew up, it's gonna sound so ridiculous, but I grew up, I'm the oldest of 10.
Wow.
We lived on a horse farm in the middle of nowhere. And my parents very much wanted us to have this atmosphere of they both came from broken homes, alcoholic fathers, and they wanted us to have what they never had. So they wanted us to have a childhood, to have our passions cultivated and whatever we were inspired by for us to kind of follow our heart, follow our dreams.
Sure.
So I did grow up with a religious background, but I feel like it was so odd for me to have this super supportive family who thought the world of me and to be raised with a version of faith that was like, you are treasured, you are valuable, you are worthy, you are more than your body, right? So I have this part of me that's like, yes, I am a child of God. I am awesome. I am a goddess. I am all these
My
things.
body's a
All
temple.
these things, right? Like you feel incredible on the one hand, like
Yeah.
this crazy amount of support, self-worth, whatever. But then on the other hand, I was the heaviest of my entire family, extended to.
Mm.
And I was very tall. I'm 5'9", and I was very tall at a young age. So most of my family members are much shorter. And I'm like a baby tall, okay? Like I'm medium tall. Like there's gonna be tall girlies out there and they're gonna be like, okay, 5'9", sure.
I mean, I'm 5'1", and so everybody's tall to me. So,
But like so much of my like growing up, I remember like hunching to
mm,
feel shorter and smaller, more digestible, and then also being plus sized and watching as I have seven sisters, two brothers, as so many of my sisters who did exist in many, many shapes, right? But most of them were much smaller than me, grow up, get married. Most of my sisters were married before I had my first kiss, which is wild. Like wild to
and you
experience.
said you were the oldest?
I'm the oldest, yeah.
Oh,
So, and we're very close in age because half of my, it's a story, but half of my siblings are adopted. So there's a lot of like sets of twins in my family because we
gotcha.
just are around the same age. So to exist with this one, like all the support, all like, yes, you are worthy of it, but then to go your whole life without any kind of romantic attention.
Mhm.
And if you think the world, so I feel like I thought the world of myself growing up, but then it's like you have no choice but to ask, what is wrong with me? What did I do? And especially if you're existing in a larger body, right? That seems like the easy answer because everybody tells you that's what the
Yeah.
answer is. Like if you just lost weight,
Mm,
you would be because small, like our size, right? Like smallness is equated with worthiness,
yeah.
especially in the dating sphere. And it confused the hell out of me because, like, you look around and it's not like it's only supermodels around you who are coupled up. Like, every shape in the world partners up. But if it doesn't happen for you, you internalize that so much. So I felt like it was like parallel brains in my head, like this constant thrum of this is mortifying, this is shameful, this is embarrassing, you are unlovable, you are unworthy. And on the other hand, being like, I'm freaking awesome. I've been living like a
Mm,
cool life. I have all these interesting hobbies. People love me. I am cherished. So like that dichotomy,
yeah.
I wish the self-worth had won out a little bit more as far as I feel like I might that's my like, the grass is always greener and looking back, everything's different, but
Yeah.
it's like setting aside that I am unlovable, I am unworthy, that part of you, setting that aside and healing that part of you, it can be such a struggle.
I'm so grateful that you even had that, like, to believe the self-worth because, especially being one of 10 kids and like feeling like you needed to shrink yourself, even just from a height perspective, right? Like just to make yourself more acceptable. I think that's for me where like the worthiness piece came in was that like, sure, somebody could love me and I know God loves me, but a man is never going to. And I always say
Mhm.
this, like I always joke, I'm like, I unfortunately am attracted to men. Hashtag not all men. Like I get
I do
it,
say
but
that I'm unfortunately straight.
like this is how you know it's not a choice, people, because
Yeah.
it's in you. And right, we hear the most visceral messaging from cis white men who hate fatness. And so then that becomes the narrative of, well, that it must be everybody. And right, this can get confirmed in many areas. Um, I had made a post earlier this year about like, you know, just being so shocked for myself. Like if I could go back and tell my self that like you're gonna be in your late 30s or mid 30s, and you're gonna be going on dates, and you're gonna be having so much fun, and these are gonna be like quality men. But I wouldn't have believed you. I would have been like, well, I have to be thin, right? Like if that's gonna happen. And some people had some not so nice things to say of like, well, I don't attach my worthiness to men's attraction. And I'm like, I was told when I was younger that you'd never get a boyfriend if you didn't lose weight. Up until there was a family member of mine who told another family member, I heard it, Like, doesn't Brianna want to get married? Like, how's she going to get married if she doesn't lose weight at 28?
Mm,
You know,
mhm,
like these messages continually being confirmed, not getting
mhm.
asked to my prom, not getting advances when I'd go out with friends and my thin, socially acceptably, beautifully friends getting attention that I didn't get. How else am I supposed to understand my lack of romantic attention?
100%. I feel like people are faulted, especially when you're chronically single or in the late bloomer community.
Mm.
People are faulted for wanting to be desired by someone else.
Mm.
And I find that such a limiting belief because it's not about seeing your worth in someone else. It's not about finding your worth about someone else. It's like being on the reciprocating end of being cherished and not just for your mind or your soul. Those are wonderful things, but also for
And
your body and your form. Like for someone to look at you and be like, you are a beautiful thing and I want you to be mine. Like there's nothing wrong with that, wanting that kind of desire, like that kind of romance.
and to for context, when I was younger, when I was 25, I thought, well, if somebody believes those things about me, then that's how I will learn to love myself. And
Mm-hmm.
now in my 30s, I love myself
Mm-hmm.
and still want that. Like I can
Absolutely.
sit in the juxtaposition of having the best self-esteem I've ever had in my life and still
Mm-hmm.
wanting to be desired
Yep.
and still wanting intimacy and still wanting to have experiences that the world continues to tell me there's no way you can be having that experience. So I appreciate that reframe of like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be wanted.
1000%. And also, like, self-love isn't necessarily a replacement for romantic love. And they don't, like, they're connected, but they're
Yeah.
not like one isn't like stronger than the other because that's the other common thing, right? Like when you're chronically single, people are like, you need to love yourself more.
Yeah.
And like, yes, yes, you are right. And I do, but
Yeah. Oh gosh.
a lack of not having your shit fully together is also not a reason for
Or
someone
like
not to want you.
or like some of the other like, oh, you'll find them when you least expect them.
Mhm.
Or like, oh, there's just so many things where you're like, yeah, you don't get it.
Like I feel like people say these things because they are trying to be helpful, but I feel like the most helpful thing when you express any kind of, like, if you're sharing with someone that dating is hard, is for someone to validate that and be like, yes, that does sound hard. That does sound painful. Like sometimes the platitudes are more harmful than I think people realize. And they mean it. It's always, for the most part, I choose to believe people are well-meaning when
Yeah.
they say things like that. But it's honestly, I'm like, I just want you to vent with me. Be like, yeah, dating is hard.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's oftentimes the people who are like have been married for like ever. And I'm like, when's the last time you went on a date? Like you can't actually understand how difficult dating is in our current era where technology abounds. I definitely have, I mean, again, the neurospiciness, but I have like a lot of social anxiety where I'm like, I don't like leaving my house for friends. Now I'm gonna go, supposed to go meet a stranger. No, like I'm
the
gonna just,
dating climate is so different. Actually, Matchmaker Maria's book, Ask a
yes,
Matchmaker,
yeah.
she talks about how different just within the last 5 years because of COVID and like the
Wow.
political scheme, like how, and technology, like this trifecta, how that has impacted the dating landscape, which I found fascinating. Her book is excellent for many reasons. It gives a lot of like dating strategies, but like she has this like few chapters talking about how much the world has changed. And if,
Mm,
especially if someone's like never even used a dating app and they don't necessarily know how it works, like how, what the dating landscape is like, it's not that
yeah.
their advice isn't worthwhile, it's just a little dated, is
It
all.
is. It is. And I'd love to get, more into that. And so I remember seeing your content pop up on my TikTok and being like, wow, I'm feeling personally attacked by this lovely woman on TikTok
Nope.
talking about being a late bloomer and then like why, just all of the pieces that are associated with this. So now you said you were an accidental spokesperson. So you make this TikTok, you go viral. Talk to us. What happens next? Where do we go from here?
So when I in quote unquote came out as a late bloomer on TikTok, I chose that platform because no one was following me. So I thought no one would ever see that video, but I just
Little did
like
you know.
I just wanted like I couldn't even like talk about it. By the time I was in my 30s, I couldn't even talk about it without bursting into tears. So it was a
Yeah.
conversation that like literally I maybe had with my mother once or twice, with my very best friend once or twice, and it was so painful. So like my only goal was to just get used to saying it out loud because I just again,
Mm,
I have the courage of a deer or a rabbit, anxious girly too. I get it. So I wanted it to have less power over me. So like
mhm.
the fact that those videos went viral is like the biggest cosmic joke. Because I did very quickly, like within like a couple days, I was like, all these people exist and I didn't even know that are like me. Like I thought I was the only one. So like
Yeah.
immediately that community that like embraced me because we all just were in our little corners of the world, all of us thinking that no one else was like us because all we
Yeah.
see in media, right, are virgin jokes, cat lady jokes. Like this is
Yeah.
what we're seeing, spinsterdom, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just such negative portrayals of being single and combating that with like such warmth was wild. Like I wasn't expecting it at all. So those videos kind of picked up steam. I went from 0 followers to thousands very quickly, which was insane. I've never had that. I was never an influencer of any kind. I never had that kind of social presence
Sure.
or voice at all. And it was crazy in those first videos were me just like asking for advice, like what would you talk about on the dating apps? How do I survive small talk? What's a good first date?
Yeah.
And it evolved over time to, hey, I just learned about this thing recently. Like I just learned about kissing recently. Let me tell you about some things I learned. So like that evolution was crazy. And I was interviewed a few times. Those interviews also went like global, which was a little intimidating too. And like it was just, it kind of like snowballed very quickly. It was very overwhelming, especially from being something that like literally January 2023, I'd never really voiced this out loud to anyone.
Yeah.
Till February 2023, my face was in articles around the world talking about being a late bloomer and like friends and family are sharing articles about me being like, "Oh my God, I know her. I'm so proud of her." Like it is like my passion now. Like
Mhm.
I feel like it was something I was meant to speak about, but
Yeah.
like at the time it was 100% like let's just it still feels like I'm winging it. We'll just go. We'll just go with it. Like let's just go.
We have very similar stories and just like especially from like a social media standpoint. So I don't actually even know if I've talked about this to my listeners, but I identify as an accidental influencer and entrepreneur
Mm.
because I was just I was just a little therapist from New Jersey. Actually, I was like a baby therapist in New Jersey. I was working in eating disorder recovery and I was learning about body
Mm.
image. And I was using what I was learning about body image with my clients on myself and then seeing these, I'm like, wow, this works. And like
Mm.
this could change people's lives if they could just do this. Never expecting my Instagram page to, you know, go in the direction that it went, and it was pretty much overnight where I was like
Mm.
I went from
Mhm.
like zero to like thousands of followers, and that I would be seen in the eating disorder recovery space as the person
Mhm.
to learn from body image, and I'm like,
Mhm.
wow, no pressure,
Here's
but
your
also with the
soapbox.
pressure.
You weren't looking for it, but here's your soapbox.
There
Enjoy.
you
Good
go.
luck.
I'm like, why couldn't this work in my dating life? Where it's like I'm just not expecting
Oh
it, and then
man, if
it
only,
drops
right?
in. And so even in the beginning, there was still body grief, which is sort of
Mm.
my framework of that I was experiencing that I'm like, I haven't processed this yet and I don't know how to navigate it. And so
Mhm.
even by just naming it of like, I'm experiencing body grief, that seemed to resonate with people of, yeah.
Mhm.
So like my working definition for body grief is the perceived loss that causes distress associated with a
Mm.
changing body.
Mm. Mhm.
This can work for puberty and menopause. This can work for when you lose weight, when you gain weight. There's an essence of body grief for folks who are trans and it's a
Mm.
different body grief. Like it's not I wouldn't work with somebody in that arena in the same way. But I know for me one of the biggest grievances I had with my body was the belief that it was the thing that would keep a man from
Mhm.
ever loving me.
Mhm.
The original fear was no man will ever desire me in this
Mhm.
body. And I was much more privileged in that body. And then it was like, well, no, they'll desire me. They would be willing to fuck me behind closed doors, but then would never want to take me in
Mhm.
public.
Right.
And that is a hard narrative to shake
Mhm.
when it feels like it's being confirmed by everybody in society.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, yes. I haven't heard that phrase too before, body grief. That is so like poignant. That's such a good, what a powerful way to summarize that.
And that's the thing too, right? Is like when you're like, I resonate with that. When you talked about being a late bloomer, I was like, oh, I resonate with that. Like that feels right. That is
Mm-hmm.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so with your own story, navigating chronic singleness, navigating inexperience from a romantic perspective, and also this body image piece. What did you do? How did you navigate it?
So I feel like I was waiting my whole life as I started to be more and more embarrassed about a lack of experience, about, I mean, like I've existed in so many shapes. Like my at my thinnest, I was still single. At my heaviest, I was still single. In the middle, I was still single. And on the one hand, I was looking for this moment where I would just look in the mirror and feel ready. Or like I would like my anxiety would be like chill and I would feel brave. And I feel like the older I got, I realized, oh, so I don't think I'm gonna get an I feel ready
Yeah.
moment. And in so many ways, right? Like the I feel ready to do anything, or like in 20 pounds, if I lose 20 pounds, I'll feel ready to do this, or I'll make the dating app profile and take the pictures. Like
Yeah.
when I've lost a size or two, like
Yeah.
that feeling of readiness, I just realized was never gonna happen. Like it was never
Yeah.
happening. There was never this moment of like revelation, and it was more a moment of if I do absolutely nothing, if I leave my life absolutely the same, I do love the life I've built. It was the realization I had, but I will wake up in 30 years and my life will look exactly the same. And for people who thrive in solohood and singleness, like that is absolutely a powerful and validating life. And
Yeah.
it's an absolutely worthy life choice if that's what you want.
Yeah.
But if it's something you don't want and you're
Uh-huh.
like, oh crap, now what? So I was like, okay, well, I haven't felt ready for the entirety of my life. And nothing in my life experience has taught me otherwise. I never was asked out. I was never hit on. I was never like that was never my story.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well then we're just gonna do it scared. We're gonna do it fat. We're just gonna do it and just throw spaghetti at a wall and see what happens. And I decided that bravery is exhausting. You can burn out on it. So I challenged myself the first time in my 30s that I was going to do. I had done dating apps before. I would like throughout my 20s, I'd download one, try it for like 2 weeks, get overwhelmed, creeped out, delete it,
Yeah.
rinse and repeat the next
Yep.
year, right?
Yep.
So I decided I was going to download the dating app, but this time I had very specific goals. I was going to give myself a season of bravery. At that
Ooh.
time, I challenged myself to 4 months, which I think now is too long. I think 1 month is a nice season of bravery.
Fair.
But I was going to do everything I could
Uh,
to go on a date in that period of time. My goal was to go on dates, plural, but
yeah.
just one, at least one, and I'd never been on one. And I gave myself the time frame because I needed to know that I could retreat into my little hobbit hole and give myself a break at the end if nothing positive was happening. But I could give it my all and be brave for a specific period of time. So I download the dating app, and for anyone who's tried a dating app, the first week or two or longer, but especially I feel like the first week or two is pretty abysmal. Like
Mm-hmm.
nobody's interacting with your content. All the conversations are starting from point zero, which is hello, right?
Hey.
Or like the
Hey.
creepy messages. So like it feels pointless. And this is where I would give up. I would always give up after 2 weeks because I'm like, am I even attracted to people? like,
Mm.
period. Like,
Yes.
also, as someone who's unfortunately straight, men are a little scary looking on the
Yeah.
dating apps. They can look a
The
little scary. I don't know. Smile, gentlemen. Smile, please
I
look a little friendlier. You're our only natural predator, and you look so scary on the apps.
remember that I choose the bear,
I'm
the bear.
saying, like, just like help us out here. You're a little scary, okay? But my version of pushing through that was if even if someone just said hello, I would actually follow through with that conversation and give them maybe two or three chances to have a conversation with me. Like I
Yeah.
would ask a question, see
Yeah.
what their response was. And sometimes they don't, a lot of times they don't ask a question back. I would still ask one more question. I gave them three shots, okay, for a
Yeah.
conversation to develop.
Yeah.
And sometimes it did. Sometimes I was talking to as many as like like 10 people at once. Sometimes during that month-long challenge, I talked to one single person. But
Oh,
what I learned was your dating app is kind of like an ad for yourself, okay? And if that's all it is, then you're just trying to figure out the right messaging and imagery for your
yeah.
target audience. But it does
Amen.
not mean you are unlovable and unworthy if you don't get it right the first time. And
Yeah.
I do work in marketing. So like as soon as I started to like those little wheels were like
Yes.
turning of like, oh, I can change my picture every couple days if I wanted to. I can
Yeah.
be looking up what other dating experts, because I'm not a dating expert, are telling me to change in my app, but I'm just trying to hit the right image and messaging for the
Yeah.
person that I'm looking for. But if you
Yeah.
don't get the hits, right, you got to know the algorithm could be working against you. They want you to
Yeah.
just upgrade, right? But
Yeah. They want
you're
you to pay for that
unworthy.
shit. Yeah.
Also, if someone is not initiating, that was another big hurdle for me was I was always taught that right? You're as a woman, you're supposed to be pursued. So like me
Yes.
initiating conversation was also hard.
Yeah.
But eventually if you once I started talking to people, the other thing was for initiating was I asked out every person I've ever been on a date with. They didn't ask me, I asked them. And it's because I feel like people are a little hesitant
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
transition from conversation to in person. But for me, I'm like, I don't really know who you are as a person until at least we meet in person. So
Yeah.
I had a personal rule too. That was the other thing of only talking to someone for a maximum of 2 weeks.
Yes.
That we
Yes.
were not going to meet in person. I literally said, "Hi, it's been great talking to you, but unless we meet in person,
I'm not
it
interested in a pen
then
pal.
I think we
Yeah.
should just go our separate ways. God bless."
Yeah.
And you know what? I got dates out of that.
Look at that. And like I know that like when I've gone into online dating, I've been very defensive of like, well, if they wanted to, they would, right? And a little bit of my story of recognizing my own grief around my body not changing was the belief that no one would find me desirable. And I remember in this therapy session, and because that was how I sort of discovered body grief, was in a therapy session, and my therapist was like, "But how is this true? If do you know people who are in larger bodies who get married?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not happening for me." And I was like, and she was like, "I feel like there's this wall between you, the values you hold, and then dating. And how do you describe this wall?" And I said, "It's kind of like Rapunzel, right? In her tower. And it's like I want somebody to climb to the top for me to prove to me that they want me." And she goes, "But even in that example, Rapunzel had to let down her hair. Rapunzel had to do something to open the door." And I was like, "Well, you know what?" Her name was Maggie. I was like, "You know what, Maggie? I don't like you right now very much." I was actually very defensive the whole time, because I had convinced myself this wall that I had
Mhm.
built to protect myself was actually the very thing that was keeping people out.
It's true because I mean, I don't know if this is true for you, but I also felt like in order to be loved, someone needed to love me in spite of my
Yeah.
fatness, or like someone had to accept
Yes.
about me. And I
Yes.
even like when I first started dating, I saw this in a BuzzFeed article like years ago. Like, and it was a woman had put in her dating profile, like, I'm probably fatter in real life. Keep scrolling if you're not interested.
Wait, I
And I
love
thought
that.
that was hilarious. And I did use it the first time when I met my ex. It was in my profile. And I
Yeah.
only took it out the second time around that I was dating because someone was like, your pictures show what you look like. you don't actually need to be defensive about your size.
I
But it was, I will say, for my ex, it was the thing that made him message me because he was like, "You shouldn't have to put that in there. You're
yeah.
gorgeous." And I was like, "Oh," so I'm both ways. So like I get like you want just positivity in your profile is like what the feedback I was given. But
Listen,
also
I just
it's
wrote
like
that
I
down.
wanted it to be like right in the front, like, by the way, I'm plus sized, or it's not up for discussion. If you're not interested, keep going.
Yeah.
So
Like
it's
I'm
like
body
I
yeah. Yeah, because I mean, how many people have you heard of who go on a date and then they get told, "Oh, you didn't look like your pictures."
oh my God, it drives me crazy. All those stories I've heard, and I'm like, oh.
And that level of vulnerability is like I'd rather skip that part.
Mhm,
So I'd rather get all of the uncoming. So even to this day, and whether or not this is right, whether or not people say, I wrote down what you said because I want to put that in my profile, like probably
it's
found
like
out.
I thought it was funny, and
I
I
think
will
it's
like
funny
I did go on date like on dates with that. The second time around, I took it out, but like I don't
because
know.
I always feel like I need to qualify of like, hey, I just like I'm gonna remind you that I'm a large woman, like I am a
Mhm,
plus size woman. Is that going to be a problem? And most times, if somebody has interacted with me, they know that. But
mhm,
I do it for two reasons. One, because I want to weed out anybody who it might weed it out. But two, it also weeds out the people who are what I would say only interested in me because of my size.
mhm. Yeah,
Right.
like
And
fetish.
correct.
Mhm,
And we have a podcast episode called Fat Sex where I talk about intimacy in a fat body with
mhm,
two of my friends. One of the things we talk about in that episode is that, with fetishes, there has to be consent. And so if
mhm.
somebody is projecting their fetish onto me in the first few moments of interacting with me, I didn't get to consent to that. And so that gets to feel
Mm.
icky.
It's true, and there is such a line between someone like desiring you, right? And I use the word cherish because I feel like it's
Yeah.
a full word, right? It's you are cherished
Yeah.
versus being just objectified. And
Ooh.
consent is clear in between those lines, but those are two firm camps on either side of that line.
Which
And
feels really hard because I feel like there is an objectification in dating,
yes,
right?
and you do. And like I said, you want to be desired. It's just you want like the whole picture. You want to be desired for the whole picture, and your body is one of them. So you want someone to love you and your body, not one or the other.
That
Like,
exactly, exactly. Like people would say to me, like, "Oh, well, if you were to be in a smaller body and then gain weight, would you want your partner to leave you?" And I was like, No, of course not." But it still feels like it would be easier to get somebody to date me in a smaller body. But I think the same thing you said is like, okay, well, if you prefer my larger body, if my body were to change, would that then change the desirability you have for me? And if that answer is yes, then these are
we are not
we
cherished.
are not in the same camp. I love that. Oh my goodness. So you had the seasons of bravery, you quote unquote put yourself out there, and what happened?
So, my first season of Bravery did end up in a relationship that I was in for a year, and I experienced so many beautiful firsts with that person.
Mm.
But if I were honest with myself, I stayed in that relationship longer than I should have because it was the first time anyone had ever loved me. So
Mm.
there were warning signs along the way that we were not compatible. We were not bad people, but not compatible.
Yep.
And we were triggering the hell out of each other
Wow.
because of a whole bunch of reasons. For mine, one of them was my insecurity around physical desirability and
Mm.
the need for my partner to assure me that I
Yep.
was beautiful to them,
Yep.
that they loved me. And my partner struggled with this because he was just more emotionally reserved. So for him,
Mm.
giving physical compliments was something he was not comfortable with. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it
Yeah.
just made that anxiety spiral for me
Sure.
over time, like spiral.
Wow.
And to me, I was like, I just don't understand why you can't help me with this because one word from you could be so healing. And he was like, I don't know why you are such a boss, babe. I don't know why you need this from me. And that,
Yikes.
like, by the time we actually broke up, we could, again, there were warning signs along the way that we weren't compatible, but it was heartbreaking. It felt like this was the first person whom I'd ever loved and who'd love me. And like, how do you just say no to that. But when you know in your gut that you are not, something is not right for you, it's hard to walk away from. But
Yeah.
like you know it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Do you know what I call this in grief is it's the bargaining,
Mm.
right? And like there have been plenty of moments in my dating era in the most recent years where it's like I saw the signs, but I chose to ignore them. I was like, but maybe, right? Or like, but he's struggling with his mental health.
If
Or
he just did this, if this
you
just
know,
changed, we'd be
maybe
fine.
maybe I'm just needing too much. And what
Mm-hmm.
this process really has taught me is that I get to trust myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that even in trusting myself, I can still make the wrong choice, but let it be autonomous. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can stay in this dynamic that maybe is also hurting me, but
Mm-hmm.
not staying because I feel like I have to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
you were bargaining, you were staying in this
yep.
relationship.
I did eventually, after that year came to a close, I broke things off. The breakup, even though it initially was amicable, ended up being brutal. I don't really know how people are friends with their exes. We did try, but there was just too much hurt in between. Like, I don't know. Like again, we were neither one of us were bad people, but we were bad for each other.
Yeah.
So 6 months go by. I find myself again, I'm feeling good and it's almost fall. This was last fall. And what I was afraid of was that, again, dating is scary,
Yes.
right? And I didn't want to, quote unquote, be too afraid to get back on the horse. So I was
Mm,
like, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself to another season of Bravery. And the goal here is not to meet the love of my life. I just want to prove to my brain that dating can be fun.
ooh.
And we're just going to go on dates so that we're just get more used to going on dates. The more you
Yeah.
do something, the less scary it is, right?
Yeah.
So I download the apps. I said 1 month only. No more of this 4 month nonsense. 1 month only, and then I'm
I love it.
deleting them all. And
I
if
love it.
nothing has happened, I will continue on with my life and try again in the next year. And like I'll
Yeah.
at least know.
Yeah.
So I went on first week, nothing happened. The second
Hmm.
week, the rumbles of some conversations started happening. The
Mm.
third week, I actually started talking to a bunch of people,
Yep.
whittled it down to like three that were actually having conversations with me. And I ended up going on 3 first dates on week 4. The last date on the last day of the month of the season of Bravery turned into my fiance.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is so
So
beautiful.
like I know dating apps can be scammy and predatory. Like I know this, but also
Yeah.
they're the only way I've ever met someone.
Yep.
And I just I just I know like people are like, well, you're the exception to the rule. And I'm like, maybe, but there's a lot of exceptions.
I don't think that and Lily Womble, I have an episode with her as well,
Hmm.
on dating and body image, and then I was on her
Love Lily.
podcast as well. And one of the things that she says is that dating apps are a tool, right?
Hmm.
Because like so just most recently I was like, okay, if I was living what Lily would call like my main character life, I would
Hmm.
get dressed up. I would go to a
Hmm.
restaurant by myself and eat and then go to the bar and then, talk to people. I hate that. I don't want to do that. That sounds awful to me. Like, why? I don't want to leave my house. So the dating
And I
app,
love that she made that suggestion,
wait,
but I also was like,
she didn't make that suggestion. My brain made that
oh, there you
suggestion,
go.
right? Of like, well, how am I going to meet anybody if I don't leave
Mhm.
my house? And it's like, well, if I'm not going to leave my house, or I'm not going to go to the bar by myself and hope to stumble into the love of my life. And unfortunately, my small town romance isn't happening. Every time I go to the farmer's market, I'm like, all right, let's go meet cute.
I
Let's
would scope
happen.
them out. Every building I went to, every restaurant, every church, every job, I'd be like, who's cute here? Who
Yep.
looks single?
Yep. Do you ever bring on? Yep. Okay.
But I do love, I actually, so Lily's book, Thank You More Please, she has like a dating exercise in there called forming your essence-based preferences.
Yeah.
So like going into dating, right? I know you know this. You
But
talk, you
but
know
the
Lily.
listeners, the listeners.
But it's really giving yourself a guide for specifically the kind of person who works for you. And it's not just looking at like height or money. It's like, well, what does this mean? Like for me, I
Yep.
did want to date someone taller than me because I am tall, but it's because I wanted to feel smaller
You
next to
wanted to,
someone,
for me, it's
right?
just like I want to feel safe. I want to feel protected.
Yep. And like so like it's layered. I don't need someone to make as much money as me, but I do want to know someone works hard. Like that kind of nuance. So I made that list. I did her whole exercise. I had it in mind when I was going on the apps and I looked back on it after I actually met my fiance later. It was like a 99% match. It was crazy. I feel like I manifested that man. I don't know. I plucked him out of the
And I mean, like, and that's the hope, right? Is that you would find somebody who is that match. And what I've, something that dating has really shown me. One is that it doesn't matter what size your body is, that you will still feel insecure. Like it's still a brave thing. I was the most confident. I was body image with Bri when I went on a date in November, almost a year from now. And when I tell you my nervous system, it was the first time I had gone on a date since 2021.
Mm,
And my nervous system was so shut down, and I was like, I'm just pushing through because I need to do this. And
mhm,
my gynecologist was like, why didn't you take anxiety meds? I'm like, because I didn't think I could, Megan. I didn't know that was an option that I could do. I just forgot about anxiety
mhm.
medication, that you can do it scared, but you don't have to do it traumatized. You don't have to do it.
True. I love that.
And if it does feel too unsafe, then explore that. Don't just pretend that the problem doesn't
Mhm,
exist. And so yeah, I feel like, I mean, the more I've gone on dates, the more I've realized what I want maybe doesn't even look like how I think it's going to.
mhm,
Like, I'll give you an example. We've thrown around a lot of, terms, but I've been surprised by my attraction to people whom I would have said is like a little nerdy. Like I would have been like, oh, I don't have anything related to you. I can't relate to you. And I'm like, no, actually, like there's something there that like you having an interest in something and having a hobby, even if I can't relate to it, it doesn't matter. There's an interest there that shows you have passion about something, and that's something that's important to me. But it took going on dates to realize, oh, maybe I do want more of this. Maybe I can
mhm.
open my dating pool a little bit more.
So true. Both of the people that I ended up dating long term, seriously, I for if I like I
Yeah.
if I went into it with just like this mental image of who this is the perfect guy for me, I wouldn't have dated either one of them for
Yes.
different reasons.
Yes.
Like, and it wasn't because they weren't handsome in their own ways. Like, it was just like I went in thinking, like, I'll give the example of my fiance now. He, we do call him the bear. It's his nickname.
I mean, I saw
I
him. He
joke,
does look like a bear.
I jokingly say I did choose the bear.
Oh.
Oh, but he has this big beard. He has longer hair than I have, and I was raised with that men should be like
Yep.
short hair, no facial hair because that was like a put together man. Like that was like
Yeah.
the standard. Like that's what my brothers
Yeah.
had to look like when we were growing up, right? That was like personal grooming. Like my dad has never had facial hair. He only just this year, for the first time in my life, shocked me by growing a little stubble, and I was like, "Whoa, how are you?" Like,
Amazing.
if I had taken this, I have to date a clean shaven man, I would have missed out on the love of my life. So sometimes you don't even realize, like, I didn't even realize that I was immediately discounting people with facial hair because of this, like,
Yes.
childhood notion that if you take care of yourself, you shave.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds childish and sounds silly, but it's like it's actually really just rooted in the patriarchy and uh
100%. And I
right? And
love my man's beard and his hair. I'm obsessed with it. But like there's some you just don't realize like what you could be
no.
missing out on
Yeah.
if you stick to these really rigid things of this is what my person could look like without like
The exploration
yeah.
of what it does, it bring up feelings for me, and does that actually resonate as true? And if it
Hmm.
doesn't, then that's a belief that you've held on to. And so the same
Hmm.
thing of like I have been so surprised at how, this is going to sound weird, of how little my body actually takes up in dating.
Hmm.
Like
And I love
so
like
little.
same thought. I feel like we're seeing more representation of plus size bodies where someone existing in a fat body is not in the narrative. It's not like the source of conflict. It's not the person's character
Yeah.
development. It's just this person is fat and they're living their life. Like it's not even like the same way you treat hair color or eye color. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I have
Yes.
loved that. And I
Me
have
too.
loved it seeing, like, for me, the healing you can also get is something I want to talk about when
Mm.
you are with someone and you're not toxic for each other, right? Like the healing you can get. Like, yes, you can heal yourself and your body image issues on your own, absolutely. But you can also do it even sometimes a little bit faster with like a partner who
Mm.
is supportive of you. Like it's not something you have to do on your own, is what I'm saying.
Well, it's
And
just
that's
that, like,
also
that
something I wasn't
edification.
expecting.
Right? Like it's like having a cheerleader and being like, yeah, right? And I will say, like, again, I am the most confident I've ever been in myself, and I have never been more afraid in my entire life. It just showed me that it's really not about my body. My body
Mhm.
became the scapegoat and the
Mhm.
reason of, like, well, if I could fix this, then I could get what I wanted. But it's like, oh no, like, what if my body isn't the problem and it's just me?
Mhm.
And I had to be willing to look at that icky thing and be like,
Mhm.
yikes, I've never said this out loud. And something in my world is my clients know that, like, just naming it brings power. That immediately just being
Mhm.
able to say it out loud and say the quiet part out loud gives us the opportunity for objective awareness where we can be like,
Mhm.
that's an interesting thought. I wonder where that came from. I wonder if that aligns with the values of what I hold today.
No, I love that. And this is going to drift a little bit into TMI territory for me, but I was just thinking about how, like, my partner now, he used to enjoy working out, right? And like he wants to get stronger. We've been trying to like start working out again. And I've been a little hesitant about it because, like, he's just doing the normal, like, wants to be trimmer, get healthier. And I was like, I don't even want to step on a scale. And I was trying to figure out why. And I was like, it is because right this moment, I'm not the smallest I've ever been. I actually love how I look and how I feel. And I know when I even like I would also like to be stronger. So like
Mm.
looking at like going to a gym from that perspective, but I have spent so much of my life obsessed with a number on a scale or the size of my pants. And I don't want anything to jeopardize this little bubble I have created for myself
Yeah.
where like I feel so beautiful. Like I love how I look. Like to the point, this is revolutionary for me. This last year with him, I sleep naked every night with him. Every
Love it.
night.
I love
And
it.
not like the lights are off and you're naked. I mean, we are existing, getting ready,
Yeah.
butt ass naked.
Yeah.
And how healing not hiding your
Wow.
body is, I've never had that experience before in my life.
Wow.
It is insane. And I know some people are like, oh, hell no, but like it just
Yeah.
evolved slowly. And then all at once, like to the point now, if I wear like a t-shirt to bed because I'm cold, my fiance's like, what are you covering up for?
I'm
Like,
like, I'm cold.
but
And
like just being loved, like your softness being
mm,
loved, your shape being loved, you loving what you see in the mirror, like all of that, I have been like afraid to jeopardize. So I've been so
oh,
hesitant about like I'm trying to just look at it as like I don't even still want to step on a scale. Like I just want to feel
yeah.
stronger that I can that journey I could process. But like
Yeah.
whatever has happened between us that has created this version of me, I don't want anything to bother her.
Yeah. And so I think it really comes to, like, how do you cultivate, like, how do you protect that? How do you
Hmm.
protect what you've created? And, like, for me, being in my fattest and least mobile body, that, like, when I have experiences with people, that it's like, it can only go up from here. Like, I can
Hmm.
only there's like, I am at my most vulnerable right now. And if
Hmm.
you are still choosing me now, then, like, that to me speaks to heart. That
Hmm.
speaks to
Yep.
intention. And I'll just say too, like, if you're somebody who's listening to this and you're like, I can't even think about sleeping with a partner, like, non-sexually, like, just sleeping next
Yep.
to somebody naked, start with yourself.
Hmm.
Start just sleeping by yourself naked and
Such
see
a
what
good
that's like.
point. Yep.
I had a
Hmm.
client once say to me, but what if what if there's a fire and I have to get out and I'm naked? I was like,
Girl, sleep with a robe near you.
that's what I said. I was like, I mean, like, I'm not saying like,
You can grab a robe on the way out.
like realistically, but I think part of that is then if you are forced to connect to your body, is it
Mhm.
uncomfortable? And if
Mhm.
it is, what I encourage folks to do is, okay, can we tolerate that discomfort? Because there's
That's
information
so
in the discomfort.
so true. I just made me think of like yes, when I started sleeping naked in general, like but even on my own a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But like when I started with a partner, I remember one of the first things that bothered me about it is when I laid on my side, being aware of like my stomach spilling over, spilling out, right?
Yeah.
And being so uncomfortable with that at first. And I'm like, why am I uncomfortable with this? This is literally just the
Yeah.
shape, the space that I'm taking up.
Yeah.
And another example of like a partner being healing for you, when my partner like started to sleep, like he would spoon me, but he would hold my stomach and be like, "Does this bother you?" And it took me like a second the first time he did it because I was like,
Baby.
"No," but I
Oh,
expected it to. I expected to
yes.
like flinch away. I expected to be horrified. And he's like, "Well, I'm not trying to like make you feel in any way. Just I love your belly." And I was like,
Yeah.
so just like the healing, like again, I had already started this, like I like my shape, but like it's hard to make that bridge with another person when, especially if you've never done it before, but how healing that could be as well. Like,
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna see if I could find it really quick. I wrote a poem after an experience I had earlier this year, and I called it an ode to my apron belly because
oh,
not only did I enjoy like or not I wasn't like grossed out or
mm-hmm,
insecure about him touching my apron belly, but I liked it. And I was like,
mm-hmm,
who would have ever thought that this
mm-hmm,
thing that has caused me so much pain and shame? There's a part where it's like he grabs my apron belly. A younger version of myself would be mortified. I would have grieved this. This would have made me self-conscious. But this man sees me and he wants me and it feels good. So I let him. And I like remember vivid
mm-hmm.
moments of like
Like
wishing
poetry slam, snapping.
wishing I could cut my stomach off. Like if I could just like cut
Mm-hmm.
my stomach off,
Yep.
then I would feel comfortable in my body.
Mm-hmm.
Problem with body dysmorphia is that like the goalpost will always change because then you cut your
Mm-hmm.
stomach off, but then you're noticing, well, but my arms flap. So if I could cut that off, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, my arms up, now my neck, and you're just gonna keep chasing something that doesn't exist.
Wildly, wildly accurate. Like literally, I have lost weight, and I remember looking in the mirror at one point at things that were now saggy that didn't used to be,
Yeah.
and missing my previous shape, and being like, "Ah, what have I done?" Like,
And that is
and you
grief.
expect just like euphoria when you do lose weight, when you've been trying your whole life or whatever. But like
Yeah.
it's such a temporary, fleeting feeling, and then what you're left with afterwards, right? What you have to actually settle into is are you always going to be looking for that fleeting feeling of being smaller or smallness, or is there has to be a point where you're like, I'm okay with this right now. Like yes, you can change, you can evolve in any way, bodies don't stay the same,
Nope.
but like if you're always chasing that feeling, you'll always be left empty. Like, you'll always come up empty.
It is so so accurate. And if you liked my little piece of my poetry there,
Mhm.
I have a reel and it performed pretty well. It was titled "I Didn't Celebrate When My Pants Felt Loose."
Mm,
And the reason I didn't celebrate when my pants felt loose was because I actually approached my body with neutrality. That
mm,
I wouldn't have grieved if my pants had gotten tight. But I
mhm,
can't get to that point of not grieving getting bigger
mhm,
if I'm still celebrating when my pants get loose.
mhm,
Because
mhm.
there's no neutrality. And so it's
Yep.
like you're gonna choose the chasing of the joy. If it's in your body changing, then you can rest assured you're gonna come in and out of it. You will feel joy
Mm,
and then it will leave. And what
mhm.
I wanted was something predictable, something stable. I wanted consistency. I love consistency. And if my body is my home, right? None of this like, oh, my body is a temple, but like, I need my home to be consistent. And if I
Mhm.
can't be consistent in my body size, I can be consistent that my body is just the vessel that
Mm,
holds Bri.
mm-hmm.
And that does not change.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much.
It is a hard place to get to. And I just want to let folks know, like listening to this, like this does not mean that when you you know, and I've had lots of clients who have said, you know, I can't find a partner, or I'm afraid that my partner will become unattracted to me, or the body image piece takes up so much space when it comes to dating and intimacy and romance. It's like it's gonna happen no matter what size your body's is. That even the
Mm-hmm.
most socially acceptable people feel insecure in their
Mm-hmm.
body, especially when you're bringing someone else into it.
Mm-hmm.
Let it be vulnerable. Let it be
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. You can tolerate it. And if you can't,
Mm-hmm.
then let's explore why it feels like you
Right.
can tolerate it.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
love your
love
story. I love that you
I
sound
love your story.
I mean, I saw your reel and I literally cried. I was like, and it sparked even my own of like, all right, maybe I need a season of bravery again because I had a big season of bravery after I've shared with my audience. I had a medication change. So it was like
Mm,
pandemic, increase of meds, horrible date in 2021. And
mm,
then I just was like, I don't think I want this. I'm good.
mhm,
Then read 100 books last year, all romance books, not putting together like, okay, Bri, it's clear that we want something here. And then went on my first date since 2021 in November. And then it was just this like, wow, I had never dated in a body that I felt comfortable in.
mm, mhm,
And there was still insecurity that came up for me. And
mhm.
I'm like, wow, okay, we're going to do it anyway. And it was fun. And now I'm tired again. I'm like, well, it's
You're
been,
in a season of rest. That's
yeah,
all.
I'm getting ready
That's
because
right.
cupping season, right?
That's
So,
right. Cupping season. It's upon us.
oh my goodness. Well, I am so grateful for you and for your story. And thank you for having the bravery to share online. I know that your story is going to heal so many people, especially with your book that you wrote.
My book.
Why don't you tell people about your book? You like how I just slid that right in there?
I did. That was very smooth. Thank you for that segue. So, 2 weeks ago, I came out with my debut memoir, which is titled Who Is She? A Late Bloomer Survival Guide. And I absolutely wrote it as a love letter to anyone who's ever felt left
Mm.
behind
Ugh.
romantically, or anyone who's ever felt like they're too late for a dream. But it is also an accumulation of my very sloppy, chaotic firsts, like the story of me starting to date, the eventual like heartbreak that came from a breakup, like finding yourself again, being brave enough to find love again. Like it is all of those things in a narrative. So I tell people if you love a romance, it's a
Ugh.
romance. If you love true stories about overcoming limiting beliefs,
Ugh.
this is a story for you. If you are looking for a little bit of motivation for how to dream a new dream, this is a story for you. But if you've ever been chronically single or a late bloomer, this is also a story for you. So that's my little pitch.
We will definitely include this in the show notes for people to purchase and you sold. I'm going to absolutely read it because I think especially in the romance, and I forgot how you called it, the romantic intimacy and being inexperienced in that. There
Hmm.
it feels like another layer
Hmm.
of achieving that dream. So
Hmm.
it feels like a win for all of us that you found the one. You found your one. And I'm so happy for you guys. And I
Thank you.
bawled like a baby at his proposal.
He got
10
me
out,
good, Brianna. He got me good.
10 out of 10. We'll link that one too because it was well. If folks are listening, whether they are, you know, late bloomers and in relationships, whether they're single, they resonate with your story and they're like, I just don't even know where to begin. Where do you recommend they start?
With your own self-healing, I feel like identifying what you are the most embarrassed or ashamed of. And I know not everyone can start a TikTok and start, or you might not want to start a TikTok, start doing it, but literally in the same way that affirmations can be very powerful, like freeing yourself of that thing that's holding you back, that fear, that limiting belief. And even if it's just voicing it out loud, so it's not hard to say, doesn't even have to be to someone else, I feel like is a beautiful first start. Because it just like let that fear of this go, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then I think the second thing is knowing that you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
Like there's so many ways to like connect with other people who have your shared experience. And for me, that was like groundbreaking because I felt so isolated and so invisible and so left behind for so many reasons.
Yeah.
But like there's such a huge like body positive community, such a plus size baddie community, such a late bloomer community, like singles, like
Yeah.
they exist in so many positive ways, which is crazy to say because I know social media could be brutal,
Yeah.
especially to fatties, but
Yeah.
as a proud fat, there's
Yeah.
there's such positive, warm corners of the internet too.
Yeah.
And I think that is very transformative when you realize that.
I have a thought to that too. Is like, so one of the things that we talk about with like what makes body acceptance so hard is this concept of social adaptability. And
Hmm.
this concept of social adaptability is like, if we're in a group of people and everybody's in agreement and I am in a disagreement, I will keep quiet so that I'm not othered. And when you exist in a larger body, when you are inexperienced in romantic situations or in your love life or in intimacy, you feel othered. And that otherness does not change. But when you can find other people who are also othered, it then creates community and it creates a jointedness
Oh,
that
I love that.
we might not be at the goalpost or we might not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we're hanging out in the tunnel together. And it gets to be a
Hmm.
party. And we
Hmm.
can laugh, we can cry, we can feel around in the dark and just be like, at least I'm not in the tunnel
I love
alone.
that.
Yeah. So thank you for helping me to not feel so alone. And if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, but body image is the thing that's stopping me from showing up in pursuit of romance and love and intimacy, then definitely check out any of the podcast episodes that have talked about dating and body image because I promise you, how you feel about your body is not actually the problem. It is the beliefs that you have about your body that
Mm.
are. It's not your body, but it's the beliefs about your body. And people in all sizes have love, have amazing sex, have great partners, have beautiful, full
Hmm.
lives. And your life can be whole and full and also want and desire more. You get to decide which discomfort is the one you want to sit in. Sitting in the discomfort of your singleness or sitting in the discomfort of potential rejection. There's no wrong answer. So, Laura, how can people find you on social media? Where can they learn more from you?
My author website is alloradannon.com, so that's very easy. Everything, everywhere I am is there. But I'm on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube as Allora Dannon as well. So easy to find.
Thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
You got it, girl. Thank you for having me.
Hey, friend. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Body Grievers Club. Like all of our podcasting friends, we ask that you like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who you think needs to hear it. I know that body grief is tough, but I hope this episode helped you to feel less alone. To learn more about how you can shift your body grief to radical body acceptance, be sure to check out my free 7-step guide designed to help highlight how you can transform your body image story. You can also learn how to work with me inside of the show notes. Remember, my friends, your body grief is painful and real, but you are never alone, especially when you're part of the Body Grievers Club. Thank you for listening, and until next time.